Good afternoon, LaRuelist Cafe. I'm having a little technical problem, so I just hope that we're able to stay with each other for this show because it is, as I tell you every single time we have a LaRuelist Cafe, we have amazing guests. So today is no different. We do have amazing guests. Unfortunately, the guests who are the individuals who are watching this program, I'm not able to see most of you on this particular screen. I see Ernestine has filed in and Erica Dallery. Hello there. But those of you who are on the other streams, we'll catch up with you and make sure you post your questions, and we will see them. And at the proper time, we will make sure you get some kind of response. I'm going to move my little baseball cap back a little bit. You know, today is Sunday, and I'm chilling. I'm chilling with my dog. Most of you have been keeping up on Action Jackson's, what's happening with Action Jackson. And Karen, as you know, my Action Jackson had surgery. Hey, Kathy, I'm glad you showed up. I want to tell you something. When Mayor comes on, I want to tell him about Kathy out of Maine because she's an elected official there. And but we have today our guest, who is my good friend, who I am absolutely in love with, Mayor Reed Gusciora. He's serving his first term here as mayor in the capital city for New Jersey. He is a former legislator. By training, he is a lawyer. He has been a judge, legislator for 22 years. And I have to tell you, I have enjoyed every second of working with this man. And we're going to ask him some questions today. Some of them are going to be tough questions, and some of them are going to be fun questions. And if we have technical problems, just hang in there with us. I will sign out and sign back in because it looks like the technical problems are on my end. Natalie, I don't know what we're going to do with the StreamYard, but I know we try to love it, but some days it just doesn't do the job for me. So right now we are going to bring none other than my mayor, Mayor Gusciora. How are you, Mayor?
Great. Happy Sunday.
Good. Not only are you great, but I can actually hear you. And that makes it really great. So thank you for coming into LaRuelist Cafe today. You are, as you know, you're my heart. Yeah, I absolutely love you. And we've been threatening for the last year to have you on LaRuelist Cafe. And I'm glad that you showed up here today. And Mark Rabson, hi there. I'm glad you finally signed on. I haven't been seeing you on LaRuelist Cafe. So I'm glad some of my old buddies are signing on. So, Mayor, we want to talk a little bit about your background first before we get into some of the meat of what's going on, because it's, you know, every mayor loves his or her town, but there's not one mayor in the whole state of New Jersey who is the mayor of the capital city. Tag, that would be you. So I want to talk about you first because I was one of the persons involved in your campaign. And here you are in Trenton, an urban area that is predominantly Black and Latino. You are the first out openly gay man in the legislature, or gay person in the legislature. And I often chuckle with people. I said there are some gay people in the legislature. It's just that they're not open about it. But that's okay. You know, we don't have to worry about that. But so you're openly gay, and you were in the legislature for 22 years. Tell us about your stint in the legislature. And also, Mayor, I want to know, who were some of your heroes and sheroes? Who influenced you to do what you do?
Well, I was indeed representing the capital city for 22 years. I got to work with each and every mayor from Art Holland on, and it's been an extraordinary time. I started out in politics working for Barbara Sigmund when she ran for governor in the 1989 primary. I was just out of law school. And then I just got involved in local Democratic politics and had an opportunity to run. So I've worked with some greats, with Senator Shirley K. Turner and now Congresswoman Bonnie Watson Coleman, our state treasurer Liz Moya, our now current assembly people, Verlina Reynolds Jackson and Anthony Varelli. And I'm glad to say they're still the fighting 15th. We have some great county commissioners that we work with, including your son, Sam.
Yeah, I know a couple of those county
Yeah.
commissioners, right?
And Brian Hughes, our county executive. So it's been a thrill working in politics, seeing the different uh, elected officials that have come and gone, and we see some great leadership, particularly in the U.S. Senate, whether it's Cory Booker and Robert Menendez and Bill Bradley. I was just in high school when Bill Bradley was elected, and so we have a really good tradition of really fighting for working people and really uh, making things embrace the diversity of the state. And I think that that's why we're so successful, is that um, we we do embrace the diversity, and even a couple of good Republicans like Tom Kaine and Papa Kaine
Right?
um, really did well by embracing the entire community rather than pitting people like the unfortunate Trump administration and some of the knuckleheads in Congress that pit people against each other, and it's just not conducive and not harmonizing as a democracy.
And you were out there early on supporting some extremely controversial issues. I remember the first time I heard, because I've been lobbying for over 40 years, and so people were telling me about this assemblyman who really wanted to see weed legal in the state of New Jersey. And I remember saying at that time, Mayor, has he lost his mind? Has he is he crazy? He thinks that people are going to make weed legal. And here I was raising kids at the time, and I'm telling them, you better not be smoking any herb. I'll come after you. And here's a legislator supporting weed. Tell us about that.
Well, it even started before that when I worked with Loretta Weinberg for making bars and restaurants smoke free. I remember I made no friends in the restaurant industry when we went smoke free. In fact, they warned us that all our restaurant patrons would flock to New Hope in Pennsylvania so they could light up. And turned out New Hope had to go smoke free so that they can compete with us. So that was very successful. And then it was working with medical marijuana. We actually
Mm-hmm.
constituent in West Windsor, not in Robbinsville. His mom and dad lived in Robbinsville, but he was a constituent, and he was 26 years old and he had brain cancer. And the mother was going out buying marijuana because that was the only thing that dealt with the nausea and the vomiting from chemotherapy. And it was heartbreaking to see people waste away, the wasting syndrome. It also uh, wasting syndrome is with AIDS, and so I know a lot of AIDS advocates were pushing for it as well. So I was happy to jump on board, and our program has been successful. And now that there's a call for adult use marijuana, I felt that that was a good economic driver. There are 7 entities that have applied for marijuana licenses that will call Trenton their home, and that brings
Wow.
jobs and real economic development. It could be a real good engine for the economy and for Trenton for bringing jobs. And when you think about it, it's a complex industry that needs botanists, needs medical people, it needs agriculturists, and it's a really good opportunity for our kids in high school to go in any kind of field, particularly in the science, and end up in the cannabis industry and business. You need a good business model to be successful. So it's not just something that we're going to reunite the Woodstock generation, although they're
Right.
very peaceful. uh,
Right.
it's an opportunity to really getting in the growing green economy. And the other legislation that I worked on is hemp. It's a non-psychotropic substance. It's a cousin of cannabis, but yet it's a very versatile plant that can be made for oils, lotions, cooking, rope, clothing. So it's been really a real wonder plant that also would be great in the Trenton economic market.
Well, we want them all to come on in, right? I mean, it's really, and we want to talk about the Trenton market in a second. I want to give a big shout out to our good friend Sherry Weiner, because as you know, Sherry used to, another lawyer,
Yeah.
and used to be the mayor of Livingston. I'm glad to see her signing on. And our really shy guy, the guy that we call Jay Lassiter, has shown up. So it's good seeing Jay. And when you talk about weed, Jay is going to be right there, right front and center. He's been on the show and he was quite popular. So, Mayor, some of the other things that I remember, our firm, Kaufman Zeta Group, was the lead lobbying firm on the Marriage Equality Act. And I remember when that bill first came up for a vote when I was Governor John Corzine's deputy chief of staff, everybody kept saying, there's no way in the world New Jersey will let same-sex people get married legally. And you just kept plodding away and just fighting and saying, this is just only fair. And then all of a sudden, the issue became, it's a civil rights issue. How did you feel being able, as the sponsor of that bill, being able to vote on that bill on the assembly floor and then watch it go through both houses?
It was a thrill, and all eyes from the nation were on it. I know many of the national cable stations were in New Jersey watching it really closely. It was one of equity. I mean,
Yeah.
New Jersey and Trenton were very deeply involved in the civil rights struggles of the 60s, and this was the next chapter of bringing equity for a whole community that was so isolated, and particularly of people of color, especially in a Baptist town such as Trenton.
Yeah.
I've had countless, even parents, come up to me and really thank me because their children didn't feel that they fit in, and a lot of them just fled for the cities or elsewhere just to be more comfortable. We ended up having a Pride festival, and we had over 1,000 people, and I was so surprised that
I know.
straight people showed up just to check it out, and they said they can't wait for the next one. And unfortunately, COVID happened, so
Well,
hope to have another one.
we have our good friend every once in a while, and I know he's probably watching, Reverend Bill Howard out of Lawrence. And as you know, he's the former chair of Rutgers Board of Governors and the longtime pastor of Bethany. And he said one time when some of the ministers were fighting same-sex marriage and, various people, oh, they're going to go to hell. He said, look, if you don't want same-sex marriage, don't marry the same sex. You just don't do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
But this isn't something that you should be stepping into what other people, and you love who you love. And
Mhm.
I remember my partner and I, and as you know, Maria passed away in September, but when the first night came that they could marry same-sex couples, she and I drove up to Newark because we knew Cory Booker was going to have the weddings. And it was amazing because I think it was his first outing publicly since the death of his father. But he did not want to disappoint people who wanted to get married in City Hall, that first group of men and women who wanted to marry who they loved. And Mayor, it was exciting.
Yeah,
It was exciting in that atrium.
absolutely. And I attended the first wedding in Lambertville, and that was a thrill to see two women tie the knot, and just the town came out, and their
Now, was it the mayor? It was the mayor you married, right?
The mayor was no. Well, I did that wedding as well, but these were the councilwomen
Wow.
that got married, and it was just a thrill being up there. Um,
Now, as you went through your campaign, because I know it was shocking at the end. I mean, we really thought that the then mayor, Eric Jackson, was going to run for reelection.
yeah.
And then all of a sudden, he makes this announcement that he's not going to run for reelection. And we're looking all around like, well, who's going to be our candidate? What made you think? I mean, I know you live here in Trenton. You and I are neighbors. Why in the world did you think about running for the mayor of the city of Trenton?
I just felt that after 22 years and working closely with community groups, I was supporting Eric Jackson. I was surprised as you were that he just announced 2 months before the election that he wasn't going to run for reelection. But I worked with community groups getting that high school when John Corzine put away $150 million, and then when Chris Christie came in, he took it away, and we fought like the Dickens to get it back on the table, and we're happy that we won that battle. But I had worked with some of the great people behind the scenes, from Catherine Graham, who lived in this neighborhood as well. Stony, we used to call her, and
Mm-hmm.
um, uh, just the the diversity in this city was really embracing, and that I don't think anyone ever questioned who I was or where I came from. That the more important thing was, can you have a contribution? Can you make Trenton move forward? We had developed a bad rap, and particularly when Christie administration had cut direct state aid to the city. The last year of John Corzine, we had $37 million in direct state aid, and then that went down to $6 million the next
Crazy.
year under Chris Christie, and that was when we laid off 110 cops, and I was part of that as far as trying to fight to get better recognition as the state capital. And I felt, with working closely with the legislators, that we could get a better recognition for the capital city. We were able to reach for a lot of grant funding and get our CDBG money back. The federal government had cut off
Mm-hmm.
our community development blockade because of mistakes that were made in the past, and we were able to get them back. But it was an exciting campaign. There were 7 candidates, and I was just as surprised as anybody. I made the runoff, and then even on election night, people were still nail biting to figure out who was going to win, and it was great that during the runoff, we were still making friends and reaching out and knocking on doors, and I worked right up to 8 o'clock on election night on the
Yeah,
run,
you did.
and it paid off. So we've brought in some great people to the city government, and we've really tried to turn a page, but completely move the city forward.
And Mayor, people don't understand how difficult it is being a local official. As you know, I was elected to local government down in Winslow Township back in 1979 and stayed in local government as an elected official until 1991.
Mm.
And I go to the pharmacy, in line just trying to get my medicine. And folks would come up, Councilwoman, the dog wouldn't stop barking last night, and I've been reporting it, and you guys haven't done anything about it. Then, oh my goodness, don't let a drop of snow come. Look at my street, my phone would be ringing off the hook. People don't understand that when you are a locally elected official, it is so different than being the state assemblyman that you were. Some
Yeah.
of your constituents, you never bumped into them because of the way government is made. Tell me about that. What is the differences that you have found?
Well, being on the legislature, you're a voice of 80, and then in the Senate, you're a voice one of 40. So You tend to work in a caucus as a group think. There are very few individuals that you can point to in either chamber, except, minus the speaker or the Senate president. So it was a group dynamic that you had to work with. And when you're an executive, it's
Tag, you're it.
lonely at the top. And
Lonely at the top, and you're like a sitting duck. I mean, everybody can kind of go after you. And I've been watching you, how you handle controversy, and you're just cut out for this. You got your teeth in it. You before the pandemic, every time I turned around, you were exhausting me. I was looking on social media and different places I would show up. You were everywhere all of the time. And I'm just really glad that you are our mayor and the things that you are doing for the city. Let me ask you a couple other questions. We they always talk about the violence in Trenton, the violence in Trenton. We're looking at violence throughout this nation right now. And I was looking on CNN this morning how they're doing the comparison of America to other countries and how, I mean, really, this is another health crisis we have going on in this country. What are we looking like here in Trenton?
Well, it got worse under COVID, and it's unfortunate that the Trump administration has really uh, was very good at divisiveness and pitting people against each other. But instead of really concentrating on dealing with violence and economic inactivity in the urban areas, just seem to have made things worse. And then when COVID came around, there's a lot of uncertainty, there's a lot of mental illness. People have lost their jobs. People can't afford to pay the rent. They don't, they haven't been able to pay a lot of their bills. And there's just so much uncertainty. Kids are out of school. Um, and they've lost that socialization. They lost that mentorship.
Mm-hmm.
Businesses went under, particularly the restaurants, and especially in a business economy, that is going to really hurt the bottom line, everyday working people. So it has been a challenge. Homicides were up in the city, but no matter what paper you picked up, homicides were up across this country, especially in urban America. And
Yeah.
um, unfortunately, so many guns from out of state get into our neighborhoods, and we just seem to can't keep up.
Well, they
We
come from Pennsylvania. They're not coming here. They
Yeah,
they come from Pennsylvania to New Jersey, and we've got to see what we can do about that.
yeah. I almost want to put a big magnet on Calhoun Street Bridge
Exactly.
and pick the cars up that have guns in them. But it is really difficult. And then police ranks are down, and we've been working on getting more police in the ranks. We just graduated 15 new members of the police department, and we we have a really diverse now uh, uh, police force, and so we'll see more and more improvements. We're partnering with the state and the state police on developing a real-time crime center that works on crime through sharing data with area law enforcement agencies. And it had a lot of promise in Newark and Camden, and we're the third real-time crime center in the state. So we hope that that's going to put a big dent in the gang-led violence that plagues cities throughout the country.
One of the former council persons who also was acting mayor for a little while, Phyllis Holly Ward, is on looking, and she gives you a message. She said, just be yourself. She said, be yourself, and it will show in the end. And she's absolutely right. We thank you for that, Councilwoman. And we're sorry New Jersey lost you, but at least you keep showing up on social media. So we're glad about that.
She still cares about the community that she lived for so many years
She
here.
mentored a lot of people here. She really did. Yeah. So the other thing I wanted to talk with you about, Of course, we're in the middle of this pandemic, but before we talk about the pandemic itself, let's talk about economic development in the city of Trenton. Because, I go down, hey, Lydia Thornton, it's good seeing you here. Um, I go down town all the time, almost every day. I got to go to Starbucks. I'm addicted. So I go to Starbucks and I look at all these beautiful, beautiful buildings. I mean, we just opened three beautiful buildings: taxation, Department of Health, agriculture. Not paying a dime. Not what am I paying? $12,000 a year for property taxes.
Yeah.
Not paying a dime for taxes. What percentage of our properties here in the city, what percentage of them don't pay any taxes?
Well, over 50% of the properties in the state capital, don't pay property taxes, and that's government and God. The churches don't pay. We have two hospitals. We have a lot of abandoned buildings and houses. But if the state paid dollar for dollar in property taxes, like you and I, they would pay about $45 million a year. And like I said, the best years were with John Corzine when we got 37 million a year. We're up. We went down to 6. We're back up to 20. But we're working closely with the state. Sheila Oliver's been great at the Department of Community Affairs, and has really pushed to get the recognition that the capital deserves. But that Starbucks has really had an effect on South Warren Street. You've
Oh,
really
yeah.
that Starbucks effect where state workers were starting to come out of their cubicles and started to enjoy coming downtown. You're going to see this summer a lot of improvements down on South Warren Street. We're going to have 4 parklets. That's extending the restaurant into the street. We're also
Oh,
going
we're
to,
going to look a little bit like the village.
yes, and
Okay, let's do it.
tree lights, and we're going to be sprucing up South Warren Street. So it's going to be great for uh, people to come downtown, but also visitors from out of town to come and enjoy the downtown capital city.
Well, you know what? You kept that a secret from me, Mayor. You just got me all excited
Yeah,
because, see, I got my both of my shots, so I'm now going out a little bit more, and I'll sit down and eat with people outside. I'm not
yeah.
going inside yet, but I see, hey, Glenda, how you doing? So, so we have that issue of as far as economic development. We have that eyesore of the hotel, and every time I go past it, I get so upset. I mean, I used to go to so many conferences and conventions in that hotel. What's going on with that hotel right now?
Well, the hotel was sold to an investment group. It's an interesting business plan. We originally wanted to foreclose on it because they had owed us a couple of $1 million, and
Yeah,
um, unfortunately, council didn't want us to foreclose. They just wanted to let the market bear whatever. We felt that the owner was kept wanting an unrealistic price. Well, they finally came to some agreement with a outside investment firm that intends to open it up. So hopefully within a year. Unfortunately, COVID came and derailed, or postponed a lot of the plans. Even Maxine's was sold to a restaurant group in Princeton.
I know. I read about that.
And so we're excited when they eventually open. They're going to have a high.
Oh, he's still involved. He didn't back out.
Nope.
Okay.
They
Because
purchased.
his restaurants in Princeton are amazing.
Yes, yes. Uh,
Great. Good
so
job.
enough about that. And there's a lot of hope in the future. We're actually going to kick off the Van Sciver project. That's that castle building above Cohen's Tuxedos on South Broad Street,
Broad
across
Street, yeah.
the courthouse. Well, behind it is that facade is truly a facade, but behind it is a square warehouse building, and that's going to be converted into 120 apartments. By and large, most of them are going to be market rate units, and so we're going to have a livable downtown community that we're developing. So we're really excited about that. We have 72 affordable housing apartments that are coming into place on on New Brunswick Avenue next to the MLK school.
Hmm.
And we tore down the Page homes, which were those barrack blocks on Calhoun Street, and came built Turner Point, which is affordable housing units through the housing authority.
Now
So
that's named after Senator Turner, right?
yes, who got us
Right.
money for that, and we property values are going up. You'll notice even in our neighborhood, they've been going up. But we just had an auction, a successful auction of 50 houses, and we got $4 million in winning bid.
Fabulous.
Last year we had 75 houses, and we only got 3 million. And the year before we got 750,000. So there's more and more interest in investors coming in and rehabbing these houses. We're just thrilled that they'll be back on the tax rolls, and uh, there seems to be an effect even from the exodus from New York. Some city folks are still coming down to the country in Trenton
Oh
uh,
yeah.
to,
Yeah.
to start a home.
I've been getting calls where people want to know if I want to sell my house. I love my house.
Yeah,
So everyone who thinks that they're going to come, I don't care if they want to give me cash. I am not selling my house.
yeah,
And I'm thrilled to be a Trentonian.
yeah.
I've only been here going on 17 years, but I have been a lobbyist in Trenton since 1981.
Hmm.
So, when folks say, "Oh, she's not a Trentonian, she's a carpetbagger," I was making that hike all the way from Winslow Township to West State Street every day for 10 years as a lobbyist. And to be able to say, I live in the capital city, I pay taxes in the capital city, I am just loving it here. Loving it.
And I think it's a great city. Really enjoy the neighborhood, and we have 60 neighborhoods. We have 60 parks, and we're working on refurbishing a lot of the parks. We're working on the recreation centers. We're refurbishing the West Ward Recreation Center. We're going to put in a new basketball court. The
Good.
Ford Recreation Center. We just won an award for our Hetzel pool that for in design. And if I don't know if you've had a chance to go down there, but it's a really beautiful facility that Trentonians all should be proud
Well,
of.
I think you opened it during the pandemic.
Yeah.
That's when the announcement. So that's when I was like kind of living in the basement,
Mm.
looking, peeking up. But and speaking of living in the basement, because now we're seeing a little light at the end of the tunnel. Tell me, how did we fare during the height of the pandemic? How many people did we lose?
Well, the interesting thing is that it started with we had a celebrated Chinese New Year's, and we were going to have another one last year on February 5th. And on January 21st, the organizer from West Windsor, that was the first day of the first COVID case in the United States, called up and said, we need to cancel it because COVID is coming here. And that really woke us up, where we started planning early, to the point where we were working with nursing homes. We were also working with the schools. And then the Asian American community in West Windsor decided to uh, 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 spread out their charitable giving to include Trenton, where we got well over 100,000 donations of personal protection equipment.
Wow.
We worked with the hospitals, and so I think we did better than other areas simply because we started planning early. We worked with the state on vaccines, but nonetheless, we still had 7,000 cases, and we've had 89 deaths, and all of them are one too many. And I know people that have
Yeah.
passed away because of COVID, and it really has affected us all. But we seem to still work on distributing masks and PPEs, and working with the nursing homes to make sure that they're they don't have the outbreaks that could have happened. We're also working with the schools and trying to get them back open.
What
And
does it look like? When do you think they'll open again?
well, they've asked teachers to come back this week, and next month they want students to come back for the end of the year so that they can get into the groove of summer school and then be ready for to be fully open in September.
Mm-hmm.
So we've been working with the schools. We're giving out 2,000 vaccines this week. We're starting pods in each of the wards. On Tuesday, we're going to be at Mod School. On Wednesday, we'll be at JP Hill. On Thursday, we'll be at MLK School. On Friday, we'll be on Joyce Kilmer. And then on Saturday, we're going to resume our mobile vaccines where we're going to go to the infirm, elderly, shut-ins, disabled persons, and start administering vaccines again. We got 2,000 Moderna vaccines in this week.
Wow.
That's what we'll be distributing this week. So we're excited about that. And
Mayor, where can people get this info?
it's on the city websites. Follow social media. But it all starts this Tuesday, and they're walk-up sites too, so you don't need a reservation. You can just come in, and we're also administering 200 vaccines we've reserved for school personnel because we really need to get these schools open and get people protected so that they can get these engaged in these students. Students really need their mentorships. They need that socialization. They need this extracurricular activities, the sports. So we really need to get those schools back open, and we're really determined to get it done.
Now, one of the things before I get into the next topic with you, I just want to give you kudos. I watched you and Senator Turner going into the multi-level dwellings, giving out masks at the height of the pandemic.
Yeah.
And each time I would watch it on social media, my heart began to panic because Senator Turner is no young person. I mean, she and I both are senior citizens. And you're just running, running, running. And I was hoping you were keeping your immune system up and all. And I was so afraid for you watching the two of you, but you were so determined. What did it feel like going into those housing authority buildings and giving out those masks?
Well, I think it was important because we didn't want the outbreak of COVID. We wanted to stay ahead of the curve, and the seniors, particularly, were thrilled to see us
Yeah.
and to get those masks so that they can get out and get some shopping done. And we're determined to bring the vaccines to the senior towers so that we can really fully open again. But yeah, it was we weren't vaccinated, and Senator Turner was a hold,
Right.
and but yet we were determined to distribute them.
I was so impressed.
And
So, during the Corzine administration, I had an opportunity. I was his point person for urban development down in the Camden city area. And when I was at Rutgers, as you know, I retired from Rutgers. I had an opportunity to work with the New Brunswick projects that happened. For 10 years, I was with the Barnabas system up in the Newark area. Had a chance to work with the mayor then, Sharp James, and then Cory Booker on various things. And was appointed by Florio, Governor Florio, to serve on the Casino Control Commission. Had an opportunity to work down there in the Atlantic City area. And one of the things that I found in these urban areas, and when you look at Hoboken and you look at Jersey City, it's no secret that it takes, when they say a village, it takes a village of the people who live in the city. It takes a village of people who work in the city. And then you need corporate minds who will come to the table and also participate in the growth of the economy in the city. And there is, as far as I know, I don't think there is any city in the state of New Jersey where we have all of the Renaissance and the rebirth, where it's done only with the people who live in the city.
Yeah.
And I applaud you. You announced and appointed this advisory committee to not set up programs or delve out money or anything, but an advisory committee that would just look at the $73 million that could be coming into the city to put on. And I'm telling you, you already know, but also I'm putting it out there because I know on social media people were giving me kudos. I was just so honored that I was one of the persons that you announced that you had put on the committee. And unfortunately, Mayor, I did have to step down. And I stepped down, as you know, right now, this is a busy season with the state budget. And I have a lot of clients, they are banking on our firm, helping them to get their just due out of the state budget. So I can't be as diligent with this advisory committee as I would like to be. But tell us about that committee. What do you see? What's your vision? Who are the people you've placed on it?
Sure. Well, we have a committee of 12. 10 of them are Trenton residents. They're a very diverse group and all walks of life. But we felt that with the $73 million, I have to come up with a plan and then present it to council. And we really want to do it right. So this advisory committee is advisory only. It's a sounding board that I can go to and run ideas to. And some of them come with real financial and public policy expertise that I thought that would really complement the work that the administration is doing, but also be able to give us some really solid advice. So I'm really excited. Our chair is Brenda Ross Doolin. She was a principal at Wells Fargo. She's her expertise is in finance and
She's amazing.
amazing individual.
Yeah.
And really cares about Trenton. She is a member of the Princeton Regional Chamber of Commerce. She's one of the founding members of Greater
Well, I
Trenton.
think she's now the chair
Yes.
of the Chamber of Commerce. I mean,
Yes.
and that's one of the things when you made the announcement, I had a couple legislators call me and said, "How did he pull that off?" I said, "Well, it wasn't easy, but he pulled it off." Yeah.
Yeah, I said that I have good news and bad news. The good news is we'd like you to serve on the committee. The bad news is we'd like you to chair it. And she's been really gracious and really been helpful in organizing this committee. And I think that we should all be proud. And the other thing is that this is an opportunity for us to reach out to people outside this community and get them interested in coming to invest
Exactly.
in the city. Greater Trenton is a great organization that is funded strictly by corporate dollars and is here to bring real investments in the capital city. And we think that they've done an amazing job. And we're really lucky to have Brenda that she really wants to serve in this capacity.
Well, it's funny. I had one person ask me, "Are you getting paid to sit on this advisory?" And you know how you see that meme where the person is laughing and they're lying on their backs and their hands and feet are like getting paid. You get to go to 3 meetings a week and sit on the Zoom for an hour and a half. So no, you're not getting paid, but we are getting paid because and the fact that those of us who live in the city, to think that people who don't live in the city want to volunteer time to help us with this, we're going to make this happen.
Yeah, and I think it's going to serve us well. We have 3 council people that will be serving on the committee.
Fabulous.
And so they won't see any surprises when they ultimately get the package to look at themselves, and they'll be able to provide real input into the process. But we think it's important to have an advisory committee, have another extra layer of eyes, to make sure that we're appropriately spending this money, and that that it really, at the end of the day, helps jumpstart Trenton in the new economy.
Well, Mayor, we've covered a lot of things today in this almost hour, I think. Yeah, just about an hour. And I'm going to have you back on here. I mean, I want to. One of the things that I'm putting together now, you'll love it. Of course, nobody can be Crystal Feliciano but Crystal. I just love her so much. But she's getting me set up with my video podcast so that people can call in and ask questions live, and you're going to be one of my first guests to do
Great.
that.
We'd love to do it.
But I'm so excited about the work you're doing. I am thrilled that you were elected and you're in your third year, and we're going to march on into next year. And as they say, let's do it again. Let's do it again.
Well, thanks so much for the invitation, and really enjoyed the conversation. And let's keep continuing to work together to move the city forward.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, folks, there you have it. I tell folks all the time that when I talk about Raj Baraka, because I served on his transition too, and I say that's my mayor, but I always say, but I got another mayor too, and you just met my mayor. Mayor Reed Gusciora. I love him so much and thrilled that he would shut down today on a Sunday and show up in the LaRuelist Cafe. And he had a lot to talk about today, but he's got a lot still to talk about. Let's do this together. Thank you for stopping in today.